Now, one thing that, a little caveat here, let me just say, we're not going to really get into HTML stuff today. I think that, actually, let me ask a question first. Who here has ever designed a website? Has anybody ever designed a website, put a website together, anything like that? All right. No, okay. All right. So we're gonna start with some of the basics here. We're gonna think about oh, so somebody says Google Sites, and that's actually what we're going to be going over today. So this will be our introduction to it. Some of you might have done Google Sites before, and I'll go through some basics with Google Sites, how to put it together, and hopefully by the end of this session, actually, you might have your own website up and running. Okay, we'll try and think about what goes into a website, what are some of the things to think about, and then kind of next steps after we get it set up. If you want to do some more with your website and creating it for your own purposes, that's great. If it's something you want to do with students, we'll go over a little bit of how we can use it as a tool for them learning some things. And if you wanted to get into doing some a little more, let's say, hardcore coding on it, what are some options for that for students? But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be looking at Google Sites. And so to use this, some of the benefits of this is that it's free, it's really user-friendly, really easy. The only thing is that you have to have a Google account with them. And so hopefully everybody does. If not, you can quickly sign up for one if you wanted to. And let's go ahead and get started. So for this, and Anita, it says I'm viewing your screen. Could you stop sharing?
I'm not sharing. I accidentally did share it, but I stopped it. But let me do a redo, I guess. Let me do an attempt at IT here. Stop, share it and stop it again.
Okay. There,
does that work now?
Screen. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Google Sites, and there's a number of different ways that we can get there. So let me share my screen. So this is Google Sites, and the different ways that we can get to it is if you just open up a web page, if you're in Chrome or something like that, and you go to Google, on the top right, there are those 9 dots. If you click on that, you can scroll down and get to Google Sites somewhere in there. Where is it on mine? More from Google, I guess. But let's just, or if you go to sites.google.com, that will bring it up. If you're in like your Google Drive, for instance, there'll be the 3 bars on the top left. If you click on that, you'll be able to go to Sites to be able to open it up. If you guys can go to sites.google.com, you want to make sure that you're signed into your Google account, you'll be able to access it. And we'll start out with a blank site here. So if I just click on the plus sign there are some different templates that you can use, and we can go over those a little bit later if you wanted to. But we're going to open up a blank site, and this is, once it gets up, the editing for this is essentially kind of like if you're using slides or if you're editing a document. A lot of the same things are going to be there. So it's fairly intuitive. But there are a few things that are kind of unique to it. And so when we open up this first, when you first open it up, this will be your first title page of it. And the first thing you want to do is probably give it a title. So I'm just going to call this one, I'm just going to call it New Mexico Mesa, just for mine. But you can name yours whatever you want. And one of the things to think about before you actually start designing your page is, what is the purpose of it? Who are the users of it going to be? Who are you expecting the users to be? Is this something that you want for your students? So is it really students that are going to be the people that are going to be accessing it? Is it a page that maybe parents and students might be accessing it? Is it something just for a general public to use? Is it something for yourself? Maybe just, a place that you can keep a repository of your thoughts or whatever? Is it a blog? All these different types of things or considerations into what it is that you want your page to be. Are you trying to sell something? And so that'll kind of play into what you want your page to be. Now, when you name this, the name up here at the top, this is going to be the name of your file. So the Google Sites is essentially going to be a file that you save in your Google, in your Google folder. But there's also the name here of the website itself that you want. So you'll probably notice, like up along at the top of your tabs, each of the sites have a different name there in the tab. And that's what this name here is, that's actually on the site. So if if New Mexico Mesa is the name of my file and I want to change the name of the actual page itself, I would change it here. So maybe if I say New Mexico Mesa, I'm going to make it coding. And then, oh, you can't see it up here on my, let me just put it back to NM. And then you will be able to see here at the top in the tab, it's going to be just NM. And so that's how you can change what that little tab part is going to be up there. Here is going to be like the header of your page. And this is one that you can have, we'll make multiple pages on our site. And this is something you could change from one thing to another. So maybe here I'm going to give this a title. Maybe I'm going to say New Mexico Mesa coding. Maybe I'm going to make mine be oops, I can spell. Maybe I'll make mine be a resource page or site for different coding workshops that I do. So I'd put some information on here about different types of things like websites or Arduinos or microbits. So maybe that's what I'm going to make my site be. You can make your site be whatever you want. And in here with your heading, with your header, you can change the image that's here. For instance, the background. You can change the image with this little thing here. You can either upload an image from a picture that you have on your computer, or you can select an image. And so selecting the image is that there are some built-in ones from like a gallery that they have. You can also search the web. So if you go to a URL, if you know where there's a picture from a website that you want, you can search for different types. So maybe if I just put in a computer here and search, then you'll get a Google search for different images along that. Just be aware, any of the images that you use here, just make sure that you do have, or that people allow for permission to be able to use it. You can also pull something from your Google Drive if you want. But I'm just going to grab something from the gallery. I see that there's a computer here. I'll just use that one as an example. And and so let me close out of this. And, oops, I didn't select it. Hold on, select image. Go to this one. There we go. And apply. And so I get my image there. Anytime that you have the images here in the header, you can change the size of it or the type that you have there. By clicking here, you can make it just be this size. You can make it a little bit larger of a size, or you can make it cover the whole page there, the whole front part of the page. So anytime somebody opens up the website, they would see this image as the first thing, as the bigger thing. But I'm going to make it just as a smaller banner. Or you could take out the picture entirely and just have the title there. After you do any of these things, you can always check what it will look like in a preview. And so that's this button up here, the preview button. This one's going to be very handy. Anytime you're looking at something, it'll show you what it looks like in the web browser. If somebody just opened up the page, and they'll be able to show it in a few different ways. So if you're viewing it on a tablet or on a phone, it'll adjust. So this allows you to see what your website's going to look like on different devices if people are viewing it in different ways. So if I close out of that, it'll take me back to my my editing page. And one other thing that you might want to look at is adding a footer. So if you go down to the bottom of the screen, it'll give you the option to add a footer. And so the footer is something that will be the same for all of the pages on your website. So this would be something that each page you can change the header, make it different for each page, but the footer will be the same if you want to have a footer. And here might be something that if you have a website, or if you have some social media handles that you want to put down there, that could be something you want to do. So maybe if I want to put, so like for Explora, I might put explora.us, which is our website. I can put that down there. And if I wanted to, I can change this. And so instead of just being text, maybe I want to make it a hyperlink so that it'll actually go to that. So if I select it and click on the link tab here, then it makes it a hyperlink to that website. I can change the font. So there's kind of a limited number of fonts that you might have for some sections. But for this, I could change to any types of different fonts on it, and we'll see that that's the footer there. For the header here, this one, the font has a lot fewer options. Actually, this one does have a lot more options. You can change the themes on things. So the theme over on the left allows you to change to different things. So we have the simple one. It could be something like this, which gives you a different type of text to it if you want to have specific things. So it changes the color background on it a little bit, change the font style to some different things. So that one's looking pretty good to me. We'll leave it with that. So this is going to be like the main part of the front page of your website. This is the first thing that we come to. And we can add different parts to it. So in the insert section here, you'll notice there are things like text boxes, embed. So if you have something from another website you want to put into yours, you can use embed. You can add things from your drive, or you can add images. So if I add a text box, for example, I'll click add text box, and I'll have something here. So text will go here. And any of these things that you have, when you have it, you can see there's a section here. You can kind of see the tops and the bottom of the section. And over to the left of it, it'll give you some options that you can duplicate it. You can change the colors of it, give it a different style to it, give it like a background color or something like that. Or you can delete it if you want to. One thing you can also do is change the size of it. So if you click on the box, you can make it smaller. You'll notice there are kind of some grids here on the page that it'll help you resize to. And if you resize it, then you can move it around. So you can put it more central. You can put it over to the right or to the left. So there's options for that. If you want to add an image, you can click on image. And you can either upload one from your computer or select one, just like we did before, where there are some, here I've got ones from like your Google Drive. You can go to do a Google image search to your photos library, things like that. So actually, I'm going to upload one. I think I have something here on my downloads. I think I had Explore picture. Let me just put this on just as an example. And you can resize it. You'll notice that as you resize it, my computer's going a little bit slow right now. but you can resize it. All right. And you can move it around too, right? So you can move it around to different places, even if you have like this text box here. If I move this over to the side, like there, then I can bring this one up into that section. And so you can see you can put your images and text in different places on your website. Another thing that could be helpful are these layouts. So the layouts are some options to that give you some kind of preset designs of things. So for instance, here's one with 3 images with kind of captions underneath it. And so it would put it there for you with this, and you could just add a picture, things like that. And so somebody asked about resizing the website for phone friendly. So the images, some images, so we can always check this out. So depending how it is, the images, like the ones that they have built in here, these ones will kind of resize to the different phone and other devices, like different ones. So we can check it out really quickly. I'll make this one larger and see if it sizes down, but you can see that this image will size down. So depending on the images, sometimes if they're, it'll usually be pretty smart about them resizing for devices like phones. But there might be some specific things with specific files. So depending on where the file comes from, what format it is, it might not resize quite as nicely as other ones. Yeah, and please ask questions if there are any questions that folks have. Please ask. And so with this, you could add an image here. You can add things from YouTube. You can add a calendar. Say you want to share a calendar, a Google Calendar that you have. You could do that, or a form. So there's lots of options here for different things that you could put on a website, and then you'd be able to put like a caption underneath it, something like that. And so those are some of the kind of basics for adding some different objects to it. Down below the layout section, if I collapse that, we'll see that there are some other things here where you can just add individual components to it. So some of the things are like a collapsible group. So this is kind of interesting. So this is if you wanted to add some text here that, let's say here, here, if I click on this, some text underneath it. So this is additional info. And if I go to my, let's go to this one. If I go here to the text here and click on this button on it, or just on it, it goes down and opens up some more info underneath it. So this could be an interesting thing if you wanted to add some different capabilities to the website for text. Yes, the undo button is a great tool. I agree, Kim. Let's see, there's also the image carousel, which is kind of interesting. So if we add the image carousel, this will ask you to add some different images. You can select images or upload some. Let me just put a few images in here. I think I've got some, here, I've got some different ones here. So I've got these 3 different images here. And if I insert that into my carousel, then we'll see, let me go to my preview page. And what it does is, oops, I think it was done loading. All right. Preview. All right. So the image carousel is where you could have different pictures, and then they would just be able to click on the left or right button on it to be able to go through those different images. You'll see the different dots below. These are some things that you've probably seen on different websites where they have some different images going on like that. A button is just that. So usually this is a link to something. So I'm going to give it a button. Maybe I'll just call this, let's say you want to add a form or something like that to it. So let's do complete this form. And we need a link. So let me go to my my Drive. Let's see, I think I have a form in here. Let me just do this reimbursement form or something like that. Actually, let me go to my Drive to get a form. Let me just look for any forms that I have. Form from upcoming workshop. And so we get the link to it. Go back to my site. I'll have a link there. And so again, this button is one that you can resize if you want to. You can change the background on it. So, change the style so that, maybe it'll show up better this way. You can put it, maybe I'll put it in the middle of this, of this. And so then I go to my preview. Let's see, here's complete this form. And if I click on it, it will take me to that form. So if you had a form that you wanted to, let's say that maybe you are doing this as a website that you want to have your parents come to, and you want them to complete a form for, at the beginning of the school year about their child, you could put something like this on the website for them to do that. If I go out of the preview, and so yeah, so there's a number of different things that we have here. So I'm going to give you guys just a little bit of time to play around with it. First of all, think about, I want to give you some time now to kind of work on your website. Think about your front page here. And let me stop sharing mine and let you work on that just a little bit. See if you can play around with some of the different things there. So maybe first step is, what kind of website do you want this to be? What do you want its purpose to be for? And then think about some of the design there on that front page do you want a footer in it? What things would you want in the footer as something that's always on all the different pages? And let me know if you have any questions as you're going. So we'll just spend maybe about 5 or so minutes to let you do that. Let me also, I forgot to mention that if you wanted, you can move things around very easily. So if I have, for instance, this section here that has the image and the text and my form, maybe I want to put the form up at the top because this is something that I want them. I can drag it up and we can see that we can put it up above the other thing. So you can move the elements around fairly easily. And that's something that even after you publish the website, you can easily adjust and change things on your website as you go. Andy, not a problem. So we are just looking at kind of very simple kind of introductory web design. And so we're using Google Sites right now to get people a sense of how to do that. Have you ever used Google Sites before, Andy?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So some of this might be just a recap for you, but we're just giving folks a little bit of time to just kind of play around with that homepage right now. And then we'll get into a little bit more in a few minutes. How's it going for anybody? Anybody have any questions or things that aren't quite working how you would expect it to, or things you want to do, but you're not sure quite how?
I have a question. Is it possible to add or utilize like a Google, what do you call it? Like not PowerPoint, what
Like
Google
a good
slide or
slideshow?
something? So
Yes.
let's say we have a customized something already. Can
Yeah.
we utilize that to use it as backdrop or something like that? Like to try to customize it instead of just using their like
Yes.
basic stuff?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
is that
definitely.
next
So
session? Is that for
no,
next
no,
session?
no. No, that's a
Okay.
great question. And yeah, you definitely can. Yeah, so some of this is you can't customize exactly how you want to on Google Sites.
Mhm.
But with a Google slide, it would be very easy to do that. So let me just show you this here. So let's say, for instance, here, instead of like this picture of the whatever this desktop is for the header here, I want to have an image of my own or something that I have in a Google slide. So what we could do with that is, here, let me go up to Google Slides and let me just create a blank one here to start with. And, you might have your own slideshow that you have, and you can add different things to it. But let me just, here, I'm going to take off this one, get rid of this one too. And let's just change the background. I'll make it maybe blue or something like that. Maybe I want to, sorry, I have to move my Zoom things around on here so I can get to my things here. Maybe I want to add a shape to it, some shape like a circle. So if I hold shape down, maybe I'm adding something like that, and you have some sort of design that you're going to use. So I'm just using this as an example, and I want to have specific text that I'm using, right? So maybe I've got my text box here. I'm going to say, let's go Mesa. Make it bigger. Oops. I'll make it a specific font, bold, maybe a different color, you know, so all these different things that you can change about your setting on background. So, you know, something like that, maybe. I know this is not very nice looking, but let's say that that was what your logo was or something. So what you do is you just take this whole thing and we'd make it a, we'd save it as an image, okay? And make it a PDF, something like that. Okay. Let's just call this logo or something like that. And so, oh shoot, I just closed my page by accident. Let's go back to that. So now I would choose an image and I would upload one that was, oops. Oh, I said it was a PDF and not as an image. So we just load it as an image onto here. So from that, you'd be able to use that. You could also, if you have a whole slideshow of different things that you want to have, you know, people be able to click through, you can add something from your drive. So if I add something from my drive, let's say here I've got, let's see, do I have any slideshows? Let's search my drive for type presentations. Okay. So you could have it there, and if I had multiple slides, we would be able to click through those different slides on it. So you can add those things to your document in that way too.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so somebody says they're trying to link to their YouTube channel that can only sync the link to one video. Oh, so I think what you'd want to do for that is if you go to your YouTube channel, so pull mine up quickly here. So what you can do is find out whatever your channel addresses. So for instance, here, let me share the screen again. So here's my channel. For instance, I've got, a couple tutorials that I have here. And so this address right here, you would just want to copy that address. And then on your site, what you could do is you can just link to it. So maybe my text here is, visit my YouTube channel. And, maybe I would just highlight my YouTube channel there, click on the insert link, and I would just paste in the link for my YouTube channel. And so that would be a place that they could do that. You can also do the same thing with images. So maybe down here, I'm going to add something like, let's do this. So I've got things here. So maybe I'm going to add here an image of, let me just select an image. Let's see. Here, I've got one from a workshop that happened recently. So we just have something like here. And maybe in the text, you could say, click here. Channel. And what we could do then is if we click on our object here, we can edit it. So the image, if you click on the image, it'll give you these options here. You can crop it or uncrop it. So for instance, it cropped it originally to fit this, or I could uncrop it, but I could also do a link. So I could just put that link in there of my YouTube channel, and I could do the same thing for this text box. I can do all the stuff in here and do the same link there. And so then it links not only the text, but also the image. So if they click on that image, it'll take them to it as well. Because sometimes people assume that, not just the text, but clicking on the image will do it too. All right. So now let's look at, so we've got just one page here, but for a website, there's multiple pages. So how do we manage that? How do we get that to work out? So let's look at that, how to create more pages on here. So over on the right, which is our menu of different things, if you click on pages, that center one, you'll see that right now we just have one page. We just have this home page here. If we want to add another page, we can do that. So I'm going to add another page, click on the plus sign at the very bottom, and let's give it a title. So so this is going to be about, my website's going to be about different coding. So I'm going to have one page about Arduinos maybe, and see that it creates another page. You'll notice that here at the top, I've got the Arduinos page. Now it still has my home page and the Arduinos page. So if I click on home, it'll take me back to the home page that I had. And this is the Arduinos one. It puts the title here in your title area. It keeps the same header on it, and it keeps the footer, but you can change the header if you want to. So I can change the image on this if I wanted to. Maybe I'm gonna make it just a kind of a colored background or something like that. Let's just go with that one. And so we can see it's the homepage will still have that one. The Arduinos will have another one to it. And then I can add whatever I want on this page. So we can add multiple pages there, as many as we want. Let's add another one. I'm going to add maybe microbits. And notice this one, right? Whichever one page that you're on, when you add the plus sign, it's going to use that as kind of the template for the next page. So I was on the one that already had this kind of chevroned blue background for it. And so that's what it used as. If I were on the home page, when I clicked on the plus sign, it would use this header as the basis for that next page that I created. And let's do one more page. Let's make one more page. And I'm going to make this one, I'm going to say, actually, let me make this one, call it microcontrollers. Controllers. And the thing is, I want to reorganize these. So I can just grab one and move it around. I'm going to put this up here in between, and you can see that it moves them up here in the navigation menu at top. And I want to actually make it so that some are nested underneath. So one way that we can do that is if I grab my Arduino's one, which is a microcontroller, and I move it, I can move it below or above, but if I move it onto this one and have that highlighted and let go, see how it becomes nested in it? And so now when I go over to the microcontrollers menu here, it has a drop down with that. So let me do the microbits the same way. I'll put them in there, okay? And so now I've got my home page. I go to microcontrollers and I have an Arduino's and a microbits nested submenu there for them. For this menu bar here at the top, we can adjust things with it. If we go to the navigation settings, little cog there, and it allows you to do some different things. You can make it transparent, which it is right now. So you just see the background of whatever the header is, or I can make it white, or I can make it black, however you want to make it stand out. You can also change it so that instead of it being at the top, which it is now, you can put it on the side. When it's on the side, it makes it so that it gives those 3 bars that you would click on to open up the menu there, like that. So you can adjust things with the navigation settings there on how you want those different pages to be displayed. And so I'm going to add one more page, and I'm just going to call this maybe website design. And I'm going to make this one not nested. So I'm going to pull it out from there. And so I've got some different things here on my different pages to be able to get to them. Now, if I want to go to any of these other pages, you can navigate through the top here, but maybe in here, you want to have some navigations to them. So maybe I want to have something here that maybe I'll just select an image. Maybe I'll just do, here, I'll use one of these. Use that one as a navigation to maybe microbits, because that's some microbits there. So I'm going to click on my image here, double click on it, and I'll insert a link, and it gives me the options for any of the web pages on the site. It makes it really easy to get to them. So I'm just going to choose microbits as that one, apply, and I'll do the same thing for the text here. Insert a link to microbits and apply. And so then if I go up to my preview, I've got a few things here on my home page. I can click on this one and it'll take me to my microbits page. I can go back to the home page by that way. I can visit YouTube channel. Oops. That's my YouTube channel. So those are some of the different ways to navigate, to create new pages and to navigate to them. Exit out of my preview. And so that's how we can add multiple pages to our website is by doing something like that. Any questions or comments? All right, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time now to do some more work on your web page to see what things you can add to it. So some different things that if you're, depending on what the purpose of your website is, you can add different things. So one thing that maybe if I have like a frequently asked questions, then I might do it something like this. So let me go back to my, I'm going to add one here that is called facts, okay? So, and for the facts page, one thing that sometimes works well for that are those, if I go to insert, are those collapsible groups. So I'm going to have one. So here, question would go here. Here, and then under here, answer. So maybe I would add another one. So another fact, oops. Another question and another answer. So this could be like a facts page. And so if I go up to the preview, then for these questions, the frequently asked questions, they would click on this question and they would get the answer. Or they could click on this question and get the answer to that one. So that would be something for that. Or it could also be if you're doing, maybe this is a website for like a classroom website, and you wanted to have your schedule up there. This could be another way to do it using these collapsible menus. So let's say I have another page, and we'll call this one the schedule. Oops. And for the schedule, it could be a similar thing using those collapsible groups. So maybe this would be, 8 o'clock to 8:30 is going to be, maybe this is the time for period 1. And in this, maybe, this is going to be your, I don't know, maybe this is what math is. This is the time for my math section. And then for, 8:30 to 9, 9 o'clock is going to be period 2. And maybe period 2 is something else. Maybe it's, science. So this could be a way to have that. So, or it could be, this is going to be math. And this would be your description of the math section. And so then on the preview, again, you'd be able to see this and you get some more information about any of those different sections that are there. Again, when you say color bar, which color bar are you referring to? Kim, I saw in the chat, you said you can't seem to change the color of the color bar. Which color bar are you referring to?
I put like a button in, or any of those kind of sections that go across come up automatically blue. And I just don't know how to change it from blue. It feels like it should be real easy. I need help.
Well, some of these, it's not as easy to, like, it's not as customizable as you might think, but let's see. So if I had one like you were adding a button, you said, right? So if I put a button here, I'll just actually, let me cancel that. I have a button in the home screen. So this one here. The section colors, it kind of depends on what the theme is for the page. So over in themes, right now I'm in Diplomat, and these are this is my theme colors here. So if I want to change the color, I would go here to change that, and that would change the color of that background one. And you can add a specific color if you wanted to by clicking on the paint button on the paint can on the right.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm gonna let folks just have some time to work on whatever web page it is that you're working on, and let me know if you have any questions of how to make something work. One thing I forgot to mention, if you do share any things from your Google Drive, so let's say, for example, you have a document that you've shared, or one of those slideshow, something that you've shared, you want to make sure that the permissions on those documents that you're sharing are the right permissions that you want for other people to be able to see it. So if, like, say, for example, you have a slideshow that you want to share, but that slideshow in your Google Drive doesn't have permissions for somebody outside your organization to view it, then on the website, other people wouldn't be able to see it. So you'd want to make sure it has the permissions for other people to see it. Just like if you're sharing that file with somebody individually, you'd have to have it so that it has the right permissions for other people to see it.
Where do I find the undo button? Is it the reset or is that, am I just missing it?
So the undo button is at the kind of top center. It's next to the preview button. So I share my screen. Right here is the undo the last action.
Okay, thank you. It's right in front of my face.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Oh, no problem. And you can, so another thing is you can share, and this is kind of an interesting thing depending on the use of your webpage. You can even share a whole, from your drive, a whole folder. And so what that would mean is, let's say here, I want to share, here, let me go back so I can see where it is. So insert and drive from the drive. From my drive, let's say I want to choose this, this folder here. It's, it's called samples. If I do insert, it's going to insert that file here. And so I've got, in this one, I have a bunch of images in it. And so you can resize this, right? So you can make it smaller or bigger, however you want. And then let me go ahead and preview this. And so now on here, this is available for anybody on the website to be able to see the stuff that's in that folder. And they would be able to access it depending on what the sharing permissions. You want to make sure those permissions are correct for it. But that also means that for this folder and this website, it's dynamic. So anything that you change in the folder just automatically on the website will change. So you don't have to go and like republish your website, just any changes you make in that folder. So let's say, for example, you want this to be a website that's for your students. And so just having this folder that that you're putting these documents in that makes it available for them to access it very easily is one way that you could use something, a feature like that. So Office 365. So, I mean, it would be a little bit difficult for that, because I think, because the students, if you wanted to do this with students, the students would have to have a Google account. And so, that's separate from a Microsoft account. And so I don't think I have any good advice for you. I wouldn't know how to do that. I mean, but any of these sites would be available to anyone, right? So once you publish your site, it would be available for just any web browser to be able to come to it. So
Right, I understand that. My concern is, as we've been traditionally an Office 365 system, and I've actually, back in the day, I did all of this training with Front Page, which was a Microsoft product. And I'm just trying to figure out how we navigate that and start teaching kids again how to build these websites in our system. And the last school system I was in Colorado was also a 365 site. So for me, it's relatively simple. I do some staff development in South Carolina and Georgia through SREB that does Google. So I'm very familiar with both systems. I just don't feel like they talk very well to each other.
yeah, and I think that's probably by design.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure. I don't have much experience with the Office 365 stuff.
Okay.
And I'm sorry.
Well, it gets garbled. I know
Yeah.
what happens when it goes between the two, and I find some challenges with it. So, okay, that's good to know that there are other people that have dealt with that same issue.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So once you've got your site kind of how you want, or even if, before you've got it how you want. So what we've been doing right now is we've been editing it, putting stuff, it's saved in your Google Drive right now, but it's not published yet. It's not up as a website, right? So to do that, we would have to publish your web page. And it's very simple. There's a button up there in the top left, top right. And one other thing that you might want before we publish it, which you could do afterwards as well, is, are there any other contributors? So is this a site that, other teachers are going to want to be able to, that you're going to work with, and they should be able to change things on it or add things to it? And what you can do is this one that says share with others. That one's one that you can add collaborators on it. So just like with any other documents, you could add people in here, we can add people to be contributors to it. And you would give them access to be able to edit things, to change things, and things like that. Okay, so make sure that you add people in there if you want other people to be able to edit this site as well. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to publish it. So clicking on the publish button there, it's going to give you the web address. So what you're going to do is you're going to type in what the address is that you want it to be, and it'll show you what the actual full address is. So right now mine's is sites.google.com/explorer.us/nm-mesa. And by changing this so that first part of the address is just tied to whatever your account is, right? But this last part is something that you can change. And you should also manage who can view it. So right now it's just so that only anyone at Explora can do it. And so you could keep these restrictions so that, probably within your school district, you could have it so it's just for people within the school district. So it keeps it as, just students and teachers that would be able to view it, and not just anybody out in the world. But that also might preclude that if it's, a class website, and parents might come to try and look at something, if they're not signed in to, they're at home and they're not signed into their student's account, they just have their own personal account, and they wouldn't be able to view it. But you can change it by doing the manage button, and same type of thing here. So links, we can change it so that when it's published, we can have it so that the public can actually, hold on. Let me tell it that. Let me publish it first. And then we once it's published, there'll be these three, there'll be this drop-down menu here, and we can review, we can go to the publish settings. There we go, publish settings. And, oops, wrong one. We'll go here. Share. All right. Yeah, so the published site, we want to have just anybody in the public can view it, right? So anybody can open and find it and be a viewer. That's where it is. Okay. And so right now mine is up and published. Whenever you make changes to it, if you just want to add something here, let me just do some text here. So now I've made some changes to my website. And when I publish it, when I click publish, it's going to give you, showing you what the currently published version of your website looks like, and show you the draft of what you've done with the changes. And then so you can review what it looks like currently, and then what you're going to be changing it to. And so we can see here, there's not much to it. It just has text there that's different. And this one doesn't have text. And then I would click publish, and they would take effect. So that would be the process of actually publishing your site. Yeah, so like what Mark said, you want to make sure you make sure that you publish it publicly, which is that the share with others one there. If you go down to the bottom there with links, and make sure that the published site is public. If you want to just leave it with your organization, like mine is Explora, you would just have it on that. So you want to make sure that you make it public. If you want to like unpublish it, so if you decide to, oh, I don't want this site up anymore, you would click unpublish, and then it would no longer be live. Okay.
Oh, Manny, you're on mute. I think you're trying to talk to Kevin.
I would think that by now we all know how to read lips. No, just kidding. Yes, so my question was, okay, so you said that yours is just for internal, right? Like Explora. What's really the purpose of that? Is that, I mean, you don't make it public because you just want your people to know, right? Or be in the know if this is where they can find things, right? I get that. So when you share it, do you just share the link with them, or they get a notification, or both, or how does that work? And they just know to automatically save it or somewhere like on their desktop or their favorites, so they can go and revisit that? Or how does that, I'm just curious, because I see the value in having a public one, but of course also I see the value in having a private one.
Yeah, so just like with any other Google Doc or spreadsheet or any of those things, you can just do it internally, which just for security reasons is a good thing. And they wouldn't, so when you publish the site, they wouldn't necessarily get a link to it or anything like that. You just have to send them, just like any website, right? Just send them the link to it. But if you were choosing them as a collaborator on it, so let's say here, let's say I put Anita as a collaborator. And so now I can send her a message to it. I can choose if she's just a viewer of it or an editor of it. But then when I press send, then that sends the emails telling her, you've probably got these emails before, but telling her that she was a document was shared with her or something like that. And so that's how she would be able to get the link to this this website, because she was added as one of the editors on it. But normally it's just up, and you would just have to send people the web address.
Okay, so it's just like sharing anything, like you said, anything that you want to share from your Google Drive or a document, and you don't want everybody to have it, or you don't want to email it, but you just put it in your one-stop shop, I guess, is why you would have an internal website.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, just curious.
I mean, it could be a place, it could be a website that, if your organization wants to have some internal, like, let's say you want to have like some forms that you guys use, that you don't have to go to the office and print out, but they're there on that website. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yes, thank you, Kim, because you're right. I remember one year, a long time ago, I did ask the Mesa kids to do a website, but that we used a Wibbly or one of those Wix or something, and it was published, and then they got inquiries, like people thought it was a real website. So now I see why, yes, the value of making it private. Yeah, especially for kiddos. So thank you.
Yeah, and that's a great segue, just thinking about, for students, this could be, if you want students making them, they can get the skills of putting stuff together, but it could also be a mechanism as for them to share some of the stuff that they're learning. So it could be like a portfolio that they're creating, and it would allow for more control of putting stuff in places, being creative about it, instead of just sharing you a document. But they could have their own documents, but then they could share them for multiple different projects that are coming together. So they have one document and they put that on their website, and maybe they share it in an interesting way. And it would allow, if it were private, just within the organization, within the school, then the other students would be able to see it. They could see each other's, and you'd be able to see theirs, but it wouldn't be something that would be out there for just any random person to look at. So, I mean, thank you, Mark, for sharing yours. Does anybody else, if anybody else wants to, they could share their address, their site address here. We recognize it's all work in progress, so you don't have to share if you don't want to. I was once at a conference. It was a multiple day conference, and they had folks. They wanted folks to kind of document their learning, and so on the first day, showed people how to set up a website. And so we were expected to add to our website as we're going. So after each session, put some of the stuff that we learned in there. So whether it be pictures or links and stuff, it was something that we could share with other people at the conference. But it was also a great thing for afterwards to have, instead of just taking notes on my piece of paper, which I misplace, things like that. I had this website of some of those things that I had learned. And it was a conference about kind of coding and making and stuff, and so it was really great for us for me to have that as a resource afterwards. Any questions or comments? We're getting close to the end.
No, not at the moment, at least not for me.
All right. And so let me just tell you a little bit. I was thinking for the next one, for part 2 of this, we look a little bit more at, so right now we're using Google Sites, and there's a lot of ones similar to this. There's Wix and all these other sites where it's very similar, where it's kind of a WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get, that, you can add these different things in. You don't have to type in code to be able to control the website. I was thinking for the next session, we'd get a little bit more into the code. So some of these things that we created, let's look at what is the HTML code behind it, and how does modifying that affect affect what you're seeing on the website. So we'd look a little bit more under the hood of what these things are. And as just a preview for that, let me just show you that for any website, you can look at the code for it. And so and you can change the code on any website. It doesn't mean you can publish it, but you can change the code and change things in it and see how it affects it. And we'll kind of investigate that. So let me go back here. Let me go to my site that's here. All right, so here's my my site, and it's not very pretty right now. I didn't put much into it, but and you can see I didn't change my access on this file, on this folder. So I'll need to change the access on that so that people would be able to see it, right? But anything here, you would be able to see what the underlying code is. So if you just click on something, maybe I'm just going to highlight this. If I right click on it and go to inspect, what it's going to do is it's going to show what the HTML code is for this web page. So I get to see all the code for this web page, and I could change things if I wanted to. So for instance, here it says visit, and if I scroll over just a little bit here, so I can click on this and I can change that. Instead of visit my web tube, so I'm going to say go to, and then if I just do enter, notice how it changes my web page here. Now, and I missed a space, so I can go in here, right? I can also, if I wanted to, I could highlight this whole section here. I'll copy, and then maybe I'll paste it. And so now it comes in there twice. And so, any of these different things, I can come in and try and edit it, change the code in it, and see how it changes stuff in the page. Now, right now, this is just on my web browser, what's happening. I'm not changing anything, in the web. Other people that are looking at this page, they're not seeing any of these changes. If I come back to this page, these things aren't going to be saved. But if I wanted to, my changes here, I could save it. If I go up to File, Save Page As, then I could save a local copy of this thing with the changes on it that I made. And so that's one way that we can access web pages and look at the code behind it, underneath it, and see how we can change things. Look at how other people are coding pages, see what the code is that makes this possible on this page or that page, and then tweak it and see what types of things we can get from it. All right. With that, we might end a few minutes early unless we have any questions or comments. I saw that I need to put the attendance link and survey in there. So if you wouldn't mind, please clicking on that and making sure that you fill that out.